All right, everyone. Just getting everything geared up here. Let me first test the sound. Okay, that worked. And then if we go, and we hit this one, here I am, should be. Howdy to you too. Perfect. All right, that seemed to have worked. So, thank you, everyone, first of all, for coming. I always appreciate everyone showing up. On Saturday, you can maybe see from the glow of the window, it's very nice out, so I won't be spending an insane amount of time here. But as always, if you guys are new, what I like to do on these Saturday streams is we go through the markets, we go through the crypto markets, we go through the equity markets. I have a couple ideas that we scan for. I then take those ideas and I make one of those short videos that I do once a day. And I'll show you which one that is. Just FYI, I've got some guests over, so the videos I usually post on Saturday, I'll be posting them on Sunday, just so that I can take the afternoon and spend it with family as opposed to sitting in the office staring at the screen, right? At the end, we'll go over the Stats Edge trading product that came out this week. Again, thank you for everybody who signed up for the first week and helped give some feedback and help shape what the product is. I'll talk about it more at the end, but I figured out the best way to describe it, and it's basically I do this work that you're about to see me do every night. I write up a little blog post for what I see in the markets, for what I'm watching for in the next day, a handful of ideas instead of just the one. And then on top of that, I also share the scans that I use to do it. And then we've got a little Discord room now where if I see something midday, I can just drop a screenshot and fire it over to you guys live. So that's more or less the product, as I need a way to describe that in like one sentence or less, but I'm working on that. So let's just get started with crypto. Talked about this again with the members earlier, but essentially what I'm watching is we had this downtrend line. Let's do that. We had this downtrend line right here that we can see tested a few times. When it broke out of that initially, that's when we had this push down 2 or 3 days ago. And then it came up and it tested the back end of this line. So I actually took a short, which I'm pretty much exactly flat on, got triggered in this morning. Basically just betting that this downtrend line may continue to hold and that we may push further down on that one. But that is just overall weakness that I see in the Bitcoin markets. You know, it's not end of the world, but there's no reason to be super bullish on this one after a push down and then even a move sideways. If you remove all my fancy drawing and lines, this is the stereotypical bear flag look, right? Where we're below a 200-day moving average, which looks like it may be declining now. We're below most of the short-term moving averages as well, and every time we bounce up into them, that bounce is starting to fail. So just a simple trading strategy I have is one that if we are in this downtrend, I look for bounces kind of in and out of this position. So now if we look at the other cryptos, with Ether, somewhat of relative strength going on where we're actually holding a little bit above these lows and it's holding above its 200 period moving average. So Ether is showing relative strength to Bitcoin, which means if I was looking to be long one of them, I want to buy the strongest ones and I want to sell the weakest ones, right? So Bitcoin being a little bit weaker than Ether right now. Doge. I love how Doge just casually is part of the crypto conversation now. Same type of thing. I'm not going to reference the 200 period moving average on Doge because it's so new, right? It's a newer traded currency. It's a newer currency that anyone has taken seriously. So the 200-day moving average is just a little bit less relevant. However, we're just continuing to chop sideways on this, and Bitcoin has kind of this ascending trend line like that it broke out of. Doge looks almost the same, but just looks a little stronger than it. All right, and then we have Litecoin a little bit under its moving average right here, 200-day moving average. So a little bit stronger than Bitcoin, but about in the middle. But to summarize my thoughts on crypto is that all of them are weak, right? There's no crypto that I'm looking at and saying, well, this one's strong. But all of them are weak, but the major one, Bitcoin, looks weaker than the other altcoins, which Ether, Litecoin, Dogecoin, these type of names. So ADA is something that I'm adding to the rotation to look at. And again, the part of the benefit of the product and all that is that, right, if it's important, I'll show it to you guys. If I don't think it's important, then I won't. But ADA is actually held, it broke out here, and it's been holding that breakout point for a long time. So I'm watching this one closely, and I may actually participate in this if we break over this trend line, this Cardano coin, just holding up way better than the rest. So, I always like trading if it's in a sector or in an area, trading the stronger one to the long side and the shorter one to the weak side. But one thing that I think this should have for us traders, regardless of whether or not you're a crypto guy, is the decoupling that we're seeing, where they're not all super correlated like they were in the past. I was going to say way back in the day, but crypto has been around for only a couple of years. But you would see heavy correlation between all the coins. And that correlation is starting to splinter, where you're getting some coins that are moving independent from other ones. And that's just good for us as traders, right? It means we can be long in some areas and short in other areas and everything like that. But so ADA, I'm looking at more to the long side. BTC, and what I'm actually going to do is I start to gather these screenshots now to go into that last post. Actually, before I forget, to start just doing that as I go, save me going back through. But yeah, so ADA is one that's interesting to me for you crypto bugs, which I always suggest, even if you're not a crypto guy, you can open a crypto account with like $100 and start trading it, right? There's no share size or PDT rules, or, commissions are generally just done on a percentage of whatever you're trading with no minimum. So there is no downside to taking a couple $100 and hucking it into a Kraken, Coinbase, Robinhood for you Americans. I think you may be able to trade some, but I would look at a Kraken or a Coinbase or something like that and just playing, right? Because if this is going to be a growing sector, the cryptocurrency, for trading, it would just be nice to have an account and start playing with it and just start, experiencing what it's like to trade that market. Because I think crypto is going to become more and more a tradable instrument as there's different currencies that do different things. And B, I just feel like it's going to pull the rest of the market into being a 24-hour market. So you should start to get used to what it feels like trading that type of a market. SPY, we're going to look on weekly first, just to show, again, another very narrow body week. However, we finally broke out of this top that we had pushed on for 1, 2, 3, and then we spent most of that week, so almost a month, just banging our heads against this area. Finally broke it and closed above it on Friday. So this becomes way more interesting to me now. Just that we are holding above that area. So we'll look just like that. We broke above it on Thursday, you can see here, but then we broke above it again and held on Friday. And that closing price, for me anyway, is what's super important on this. So close above this is very, very interesting to me. That's kind of what we want to see. VT, which is our world index, had not quite a higher close. So that means that there's some US leadership in this, which again, I think is good. Am I allowed to have a beer on stream? I think I'm allowed to. I don't think YouTube will be mad at me for having a beer on stream. Next, I want to take a look at this, which is a comparison chart I've been highlighting a lot recently, which is essentially growth over value. I just like to describe it each time because these relative charts can be a little bit confusing. But when this is going on, when the chart is moving higher, it means that growth stocks are overperforming value stocks. And I'm sure you guys have heard me and other people rant about this rotation that's been kind of a big deal. And when we get the push down, it's the other way. And the problem is when this is declining, it becomes harder for swing traders like ourselves to trade, just because it's, which I'm just going to label myself as a swing trader now, because the day trading I do is just so boring and repetitive. I'm just going to label myself a swing trader, I think, from now on. But basically, it just means that when this is selling off, the stocks that are doing well are stocks that are slower and more boring and, have less of those 10% moves in a day or a couple days. And they're more of your Macy's and your REITs and things like that. So they're more boring to play, but it doesn't matter, right? If that's what's moving higher, that's what we need to be participating in. However, we had over the last 2 days actually a nice bounce into these highs, showing that there is some potential strength coming back into growth names. And we've noticed that with some of the trades that I'll go over, because right after I'm done this, I'm going to go over the short videos I made this week and show you guys how I traded them. But seeing that is increasing as well. Lastly, you can see I'm moving a little bit quicker, and it is because, nephews and stuff out there. So I'm going to make sure I spend some time there, but we'll still probably go for a full hour, I would say. This is basically, each of these lines is just a different movement of what you would see on for the different sectors, right? So the ones up here are the ones over the last 5 days or the last week that are doing the best, right? So healthcare is doing well. So when I say healthcare, even, make sure you put in your biotechs and pharmaceuticals and all of that. They'll be part of that sector. XLRE, which is just real estate, has been doing very well. So again, think of REITs, think of home builders, things like this. XLK, which is why we're noticing again the pop in growth seems to be coming from XLK, which is technology, and the biotech sectors, right? So we want to go where there is strength, and there's strength right now in some of these more boring names. XLY, consumer discretionary. Again, I like to define these. I know some people are going to be like, yeah, I know. But consumer discretionary, just think of stuff that you would buy that you don't need. Apple, right? Harley Davidson, things like this, right? They do well in environments where people are less worried about money, essentially. Communications doing well, and that one's actually holding pretty strong. And utilities is actually interesting that's doing well. For you TI Strength Alert guys, I finished that before I got on here today. I can't divulge the symbols, but you'll see a lot from that kind of space. So then I would just want to look quickly at the ones that we saw that are outperforming. So XLRE, you can see the strength that we've seen here in the real estate, maybe a little bit overextended in real estate, but a lot of strength going on there. XLK, This one, it's very interesting because we've noticed it perking up, but it still has a fair amount to go to hit all-time highs in the way that the market did. So had a big strong push up, and then we started to chop sideways, and then we broke out of that on Friday. So XLK is looking very, very strong, and importantly enough, right? For us that like to trade the stocks that move a lot, you can see that that's kind of important there. XLP, consumer staples, is actually looking pretty strong here, holding on to this support. I wanted to look at XLC, which is this one, which I think is looking very, very nice, and communications. Wanted to point out quickly, a lot of people, when they hear communications as a sector, they think, AT&T and, telecom and things like that. The XLC, if you actually look at it, and then you click on holdings, I love this website. It shows what's inside of this. So Facebook is 20% of XLC, and Google is another 25% if you combine those two. So half of this sector is Facebook and Google, right? So communications, just know, now means technology communications, right? Instead of traditional forms of communications. Last but not least, I wanted to look at XL, what was it? The biotechs, because something I do like to XLV, right? Yeah, healthcare. XLV. I like trading these just because they generally move. One thing that I'm seeing that's a little bit concerning is this kind of broadening top. Yeah, I know I can. Thank you. Right. It's a very rare and harder pattern to play, these broadening formations, but they can be pretty deadly when they break. So that just kind of has me on watch and interesting about it. Just interested about the kind of sector in general. I see your question about the AI, and we'll get to those in the end. I just want to finish going through a lot of this stuff first, and then when I do the scanning, I'll ask questions about all that stuff. Again, as someone who's more of a swing trader now myself, I'm using that stuff less and less, but I still do scalp with the Trade Ideas AI as just a kind of an engagement tool. XLE, our energy sector that has been doing great, is starting to look like it may be a bit of a bull trap going on here. So I want to make sure that we're cautious about that. We're tried to break those highs and then failed. So that's about it. So again, summary on crypto is everything's weak except basically ADA for the ones that I follow. When it comes to looking at the stock market, pretty much everything's strong. There's no reason to be bearish. The stock market right now, interesting that growth may be having a bit of a comeback versus value, which again would be great for us as kind of shorter term traders. Some of the more boring stuff like XLE looks like it may be turning, which actually brings me to this chart that I like to look at, which is XLE versus TAN, which looked like it was having this big rounded bottom down here. And sorry, XLE versus TAN is just dirty energy versus solar energy. But it may be turning back down, and then this may have just been a blip in this overall trend there as well. So let's get into Trade Ideas, and let's go to those videos and see which ones I did and how I traded them. Funny, you look at so many stocks. So the one that I published on, I gotta bring up a calendar here. I'm getting old and my memory is going. So I posted one on the 4th. No. Okay. MXAAN was the first one. MAXN? Yeah. That's better. So this one I did get involved in, and I am still involved in. Basically, just was playing this support right here, wondering if that support would hold as support here, and we would get a push off it in it again, as basically as we broke out of there, I believe. Haven't done anything with it. Looks like 20, maybe an area that it's struggling. So that would be what I'd be watching for next week. If we pull back off of 20, then it means it's probably just going to continue its downtrend and it's time to get out. If we break and hold over 20, that would be interesting and confirmatory. Dogs barking. So that's a good one there. I took a lot of these this week because I just know because my portfolio is kind of tapped. PGen was a gift. We were looking at PGen over this base right here. We got it. It did well and it pulled back. It kind of looked like it was going to be horrible. Then we had this awesome gap up, which I sold into that gap. The entire position minus a little bit. So I don't like to go over sizes, but say I had 1,000 shares. I would have sold 800 of those shares, right? Most of the position on these pops, and that's just because the environment that we're in seems to be conducive to that. And then as it just tanked and tanked and tanked all day, I got out that last little bit pretty much at the close of the day. Just didn't want to hold that into the weekend, right? We got that little gift. I took it, and then out we come is basically my theory there. If it can't hold that. OPK, I'd have to check. I don't think I'm in this one, but I would have to check. TLIS, this one I know I'm in. I actually bought this one on Friday, right over this candle right here. Put in some good volume into the end of the day. The theory on this one was basically just looking at this declining wedge and wondering if this was maybe a breakout and then a retest, and then we were going to continue on. The anchored VWAP, which just if you want to know more about the anchor VWAP, check out alphatrends.net with Brian Shannon. He's kind of the godfather of this. Basically just shows the average market participant since this thing launched is up here. So the average market participant is still 50% of that stock's value move away, which basically just means maybe this will act as resistance, but then I always want to check how long I have until there, which I have a bunch. So that one's good. And then Dash, I'm also in. Dash, I was looking at this one on Friday, or this Thursday, and then on Friday, it just broke and went. So I'm still in most of these. PGen was the only one that was both an in and out, and that's just because, right, I'm not going to look at that, a buy at 6 and then a gap up to 9-ish, and just say I'm just going to hold on to all that. It's just, right, that's a 50% gain. So I'm going to take that one for sure. Dash, I agree, Brett. I still think this looks good. That's why I may regret not selling any of it, but I didn't yet. I may have been smart to take some out against that prior resistance. I was kind of trying to hold on to take some out against this prior resistance. However, this is an interesting one to me just because for a longer term picture, I read a stat somewhere and I've been trying to find it. So if anyone has it and wants to email it to me, again, my email is always in the description of everything that I do. But there was one stat I was watching, I think the Benzinga pre-market prep, which I watch every day and I like. And they had an IPO guy on, and he said it was 89% or so of every IPO undercuts its IPO price in the first year. And this one just did right away. And then took another sell. And then this is the first time it's kind of held on and looks like it may push higher. So if that's true, just by drawing that out the way I did, we may have a shoulder here and then a head and then another shoulder here. So that would be your head and shoulders pattern. So then what you do with a head and shoulders pattern to just guess a target is you would take this line from the top here to that bottom and you would try to recreate that from the breakout point. And that could get us kind of up in this area. And then above that area, that's technically all-time highs. So I am going to try very hard to sell this position like I always do. I always take money when the market makes it available, which is Mark Douglas trading in the zone. I would check that out. But this might be one that I would love to maybe shrink my position down to 100 shares and then just put that 100 shares away somewhere with like a stop under here and just, check on it in a year or two and see if DoorDash is turning around. Okay, so that is the market wrap up. That's the wrap up of all of the trades that I put out publicly. Obviously, again, you're 4 to 5 on average at night with the StatsEdge Pro product. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to scan to try to see which of those names I'm going to add to the list for Monday, and then I'll talk about the one that I'm going to do publicly, and then I'll do the video again on Sunday. And same with any members that see this. There's a chance I may do it tonight, in the laptop, right, with a couple beers deep, but most likely tomorrow. And what I'm going to start doing is in our Discord room, I'm just going to ping everybody every night when they're up. And then you can go to the website and check all that out. But if you're watching this, you're getting a lot of my my theory for what's going into next week. But again, the members just get it on a daily basis in a much more succinct format. So as I go through this, because basically I'm going to be scanning through charts and that's kind of boring, but with there, put that back. So here's where we'll also just shoot the shit, answer questions, talk about all that. And then again, I always wait for the end to go over the product because it's a soft launch. I want people who are going to be, chill and understand that it's a work in progress and want to help give feedback for the first bit, and then I'll start tweeting about it and that kind of stuff after that, but no rush there. So the first question that I just saw was, in the AI, why can't we pick what strat we want to follow on each trade? For example, breakdown short for HIMS. Lost 2.5%. Why can't we leave it stop as conservative and everything else being aggressive? We don't allow the aggressive trading because aggressive just means cancel the stop. So anything that you want to do that on, just cancel the stop, right? And that will get you the same thing. Of course, no one's going to know in advance which of those you should have put on aggressive and which you should have put on conservative, because if we did, we would have a crystal ball and we'd be making trillions of dollars. But yeah, aggressive just means cancel the stop. So if you want to cancel the stop, cancel the stop. I highly wouldn't recommend that. Just personally, I think that's something that's going to work. Not having a stop loss is something that's going to work a lot, and that's the dangerous thing. It's going to work 90% of the time, but that one time it doesn't work is going to wipe out tons of profits. So again, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do whatever you want. It's free country, right? So again, while I'm scanning, the reason that I do this in this order, and again, this is all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes that you guys don't have to do, and that's why I think it's what I'm doing is well worth the $2 a day that it costs, is that I do this for an hour or so every night and then prepare all that for you from there, right? Yeah, Brett, there should be a bunch of TrendSpider scans um, already in the member section. I just put them right next to the Trade Ideas ones when I can. So that's the thing, is that TrendSpider scanning is okay. It's just not as good as Trade Ideas. I love TrendSpider charts. Trade Ideas is doing some work on their charts, and they may become better. But anytime I can, I'm gonna put that on. And I've got a plan. I've got some time set across next week to really build out that scan section. This AYX is interesting as a software publisher. I don't think that'll be it, but I'm gonna put that guy there. Yeah, me setting reminders to myself. Just trying to think of a way to describe the product simply, other than it's me doing this work and then just giving you the results each and every day. Bumble, already on watch, but I really like the look of Friday's candle on Bumble too. Oh, no problem. I should just do a better job then of pointing that out. But yeah, some of them I can't do within TrendSpider, or I can. It's just complicated, and I just have to think about it. But um, there are some cool scans that you can do with TrendSpider for sure. Like this pullback scanner, I really like, where it's just looking for strong stocks that are pulling in. They don't have as much fundamental data in their scanners, so you can't scan and say, hey, I want to scan the entire market. With TrendSpider, you have to pick like an ETF, and you're scanning what's inside the ETF, which is a bit unfortunate. But I understand why. It's, Trade Ideas very much focuses on server tech and, very serious hardcore server tech. So that allows them to scan that entire marketplace for things. Whereas if you're not that focused on the server tech, you need to make sure that you're a little bit more reserved when it comes to that type of thing. Just because if a lot of people are running scans all the time and you don't have your server tech just completely dialed in, you could probably blow up your servers, or just increase costs dramatically because you've got all these back end processes running, kind of thing. This ACDA is interesting to me. Potential shoulder with a breakout here, and this thing's just been absolutely shellacked. So for traders, right, from $40 down to $4, we're like, well, if it just bounces to $6, we're happy, right? Get in at 5, out at 6, it's a good trade. So this thing's gotten hammered. Pharmaceutical preparation and something getting killed this much worries me, because it probably means they have something that's not doing what it should be. MSGN is interesting here. You can see I already have that one on watch, though. So I'm interested looking at, I don't want to go all in on that sector, but how we talked about the biotech and healthcare and all of that type of stuff doing well. It makes me interested to watch that particular sector, just because if we know the sector is strong, then it makes sense that we also want to look at instruments from that particular sector, right? This DLPN is interesting too, where looks like we found some support here, and we may be breaking back up through a 4% short float. That's okay. I think this spike occurred back in the NFT craze, I think. And someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was one of those things that everyone's like, oh, you're an NFT play too. And it just rocketed, right? This is another thing that I absolutely need trade ideas for. And I think is the most underappreciated windows in trade ideas is this single stock window where I can just slap all this data down. I can look at the news, the profile, all of that in this one like little succinct package. It saves me so much from buying things before earnings or doing all kinds of dumb stuff. This one might be fun. It's a cheap one, but it's a slow moving cheap one. Same type of thing, right? Potential inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder. Resistance at $2. If we break through 2, maybe we get a shot at 3. Again, it's not like I think it's going to go from 2 to 20, but it has done some crazy stuff before. But even 2 to 3, and the only reason I say 3 is because that's kind of where this area congestion is here. It's 50% gain. And if you can get a 50% gain on your trades and only a couple times a year, you should be incredibly happy. That one's interesting. And then this one I like too, where this is a pullback. And that's going to be it right there. That's going to be the trade. I've been watching this one for a long time. Some of you guys have been following me for any lengths of time. I liked Posh just because it had a massive short float. We're talking 26% short, 27% short there. Big, strong push up after this. I think I was watching it in through here. And instead of breaking out, which is what we were looking for, it broke down, but then it put in this big, strong push, and now it pulled back. And then we were looking, again, remember, for the breakout here, and look at where it's pulled back to. So we have these, and then we have a pullback. So I wonder if these videos are still on YouTube, but I took a trading course. Got to have been 10 years ago now. And the guy that I took it from called this the two-timing bastard play. And I love the name. I love the analogy that he used, which I'll tell you now, but I'll probably butcher the hell out of it. But I just love the play in general. And the two-timing bastards basically just you picture a man stirring around his house, looking to get out, one last night out on the town with the boys, and the wife's keeping him at home, right? So this represents the energy that is being spent to keep him at home. He one day finally goes out, right? Says, screw it, I'm going outside. I'm going out with the boys. I'm doing one more time. And then he comes back home and he finds the locks are changed. And the wife is screaming out the window that he's a two-timing bastard. So now this energy that was keeping him inside before is now being applied to keep him outside. Right? So I like the play. Again, the theory behind it is that people who buy a breakout are more likely to try to defend that breakout place by buying more. So you can get, what I would do with this trade is kind of buy the break right here, and my stop would just be right here. So I'm risking like that, right? So what's that in dollars? I'm risking, so say I can get, and could gap, anything could happen, right? 48.50, and I'm wrong at 43.50. So I'm risking $5 a share. It could get to 60, which is $12 a share. So I do that in my head and I say, okay, that's fairly achievable, and it's a nice 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Do I think there's a 50-50 shot that will happen? In this case, yes. I want to take any 50-50 bet that gives me a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio and just right over and over and over and over again. So Posh is most certainly going to be the one that I'll make the video about, which I think I'll actually just make the video now and then do the members wrap up later, because I just want to be more detailed with that. RMO is interesting on this pullback, as I think that might need more time. Fizz, it's big short float on Fizz. Right, Fizz is one of those meme stocks, right? That's one of those Wall Street Bets names. And this is interesting for you meme players. I love to plug other people's stuff when I think it's good, even though I have no affiliation with this guy, Swaggy Stocks. He has an interesting Wall Street Bets. It's like a little NLP. It's a web scrubber, right? So he just scrubs the web, and these are the ones talked about, and these update live in real time. So if you ever want to go and say, oh, is this one of the ones that they're getting talked about on Wall Street Bets, you can go and look here, and this will show you the mentions. So Fizz is not there, so it may have been, maybe that's what did this, but they're not talking about that right now. So it's interesting. It's just, I think, swaggystocks.com. Again, no affiliation. I just think it's a cool little thing that he's done with scrubbing. We approached him at Trade Ideas and asked him if he wanted to be our buds, but he said no. So we try very hard not to be too sad. One of those things, right? He's got his own stuff going on. Because I just think Trade Ideas would be super cool if we could get some of that sentiment scrubbing stuff. It's fairly complex, right? You have to teach a bot to interpret what's a positive thing to what's a negative thing, right? We approached him about being an affiliate. If you want to reach out to him on his website there about being an affiliate, I think that might be a cool way to do it too, and say, listen, build something for us. We'll pump your stuff, and if you're big and you're an affiliate with Trade Ideas, you can do very well. I'm an affiliate with Trade Ideas, and I'm small, and I do okay. Which I guess is another thing. If anybody is watching this and you have any audience at all, and you're interested in about being a Trade Ideas affiliate, email me in the links below the video. SM is interesting here. I'd want it to pull back a bit more, but again, I like the concept of a breakout and then a pullback to the breakout area. So I'd want to see that. So I may actually just put a price alert right there. So now it will alert me if I get back to that area. Edit. I want to do that if it's long. There we go. So we got quite a few here on watch. So generally what I'll do, and again, this is the point of the product, is I go through, I probably pick 10 different names that I think are interesting in some way, and then I really dive into those 10 names and make sure that there's nothing coming up that's going to have any problems, and make sure I'm not picking too many from the same sector, and a lot of additional thought will go into, and then I mark up the charts and everything and present those so that people have all night to look at it and then set their own price alerts. I'm going to do some videos too on how you could use something like that for if you're someone who has other stuff that they're doing on top of trading. You could, I think, very easily set up some alerts, some stop limits, things like that. I don't know if Robinhood will alert you when a stock hits a certain price, but I know most brokers will that have like IB. As much as I don't like IB, I really like their app. They have a pretty good both iPhone, and I'm a guy that I live. You know, this my iPad runs my entire life. Like this is if I didn't do streaming and stuff like this, I could do everything on this thing now. Especially they added. I don't know. I put that. Oh, the camera's over there. They added like a keyboard and a trackpad and everything to it. I go out on my hammock. I've got my little pencil. I'm drawing charts and doing all kinds of cool stuff. So I think you could use the product in combination with that kind of stuff. What percentage of my portfolio is TI strength? It's going to depend on the time. Basically, I have 20%, I think, reserved for strength alerts. But if nothing comes of the strength alerts that week, then I won't do anything with them. Like it's one of those, you know, I built the algo. I can't even click on it because it has been, if you're a TI member and you click on the strength alerts tab, I updated the app before I came on stream. So it's there, but the email doesn't go out until Sunday night. So just, I can't show it because that wouldn't be right to Trade Ideas. But you know, there's 5 stocks given every week, and I've done just the algorithm says just cycle into whatever those 5 names are, and the algorithm works great. You know, you can make a fair amount of let me get this. So this is hold on. Where is that? Let's go pull that. And is it this one? Yeah. So there's this is the results of Trade Ideas Strength, which again, if anyone's watching this and you're not a Trade Ideas member and you don't and you're not interested in maybe the product itself, this is a $17 a month product that Trade Ideas is offering right now that you get an email that I write up. That's, you know, basically one day of what you would see in Stats Edge Trading. But this is 5 symbols each week, right? So what we've done in the algo is we took the top 5 symbols and then we rebalance them on a weekly basis. So you buy on Monday open, and then you hold it and you sell it into the next Monday open. And then I've back tested it from 2017 until 2021, where I actually started forward testing it probably right here. Which just means testing in real time, not using back tests and theory or whatever, just getting a fake portfolio and go and, you know, push from there. Yeah, I would bet all 15 watching, but then this is going to get uploaded after and all that. And again, it's just not. So the, you know, the returns of that are pretty good, but the example that I like to do is CM, right? So we alerted CM from TI Strength, like right here, around maybe in this area, around $100. I'm still in some of this, right? So why would I let an algorithm say, "Hey, Mike, sell this thing"? I think like right here or something. Like, you know, why would I? I basically just said, okay, the first time it closes below an ADMA, which may have technically happened on Friday, but I didn't exit, I may want to get out of that. And then another example is DVAX. So we alerted DVAX right here, and it had a wicked day, and I sold some of the position as it went higher, and then this next day, as we crashed down here, I sold the rest in through here and took a hit on the final bit. I'm not going to hold that for 5 days just because the system says hold it for 5 days. So, long answer to your very simple question is I have I treat them like any other trade, right? Where if it's working, great, right? If I'm going to stay in it. If not, I'm going to get out. So 3M, for example, I got in this one day, and when it crashed down the second, I got out. But if 3M breaks back up, I'll get back in again, right? So, and this is, I guess, just good for another rant about how I just deem trading as a whole, where I look at algorithms as a guide, right? There's no, if there was an algorithm out there that just printed money all the time forever, you would never see it. It would be hidden and obscured and being held at Goldman Sachs's vault, and you would never see it. You'd never know about it. Just like indicators, right? There is no one indicator on its own that makes people a bunch of money. It just doesn't happen. But it's part of an indicator, and you see RSI and some moving averages on my chart. An indicator is part of a weight of an evidence decision-making process. And same with the TI strength alerts. Yes, if you just traded the algo as I built it, it would make money in the long run. But I want to make more money, right? So what I'm personally going to do is I'm going to treat them like trades. So another question is where do I put my stop? It's going to depend on every single symbol, right? So the algorithm doesn't have a stop. It just has this weekly rotation. But however, I'm going to have a stop. If the market's tanking, I'm going to be out of stuff. Right? So anytime someone says, here is a trading algorithm or a trading system, that should be one part of all of the other things that you've learned in your trading careers, right? It should just be part of that kind of knowledge. So TI strength alerts is no different, right? If I'm talking about, let me bring up last week's and take a look at last week's. I didn't trade many of those because I was into a lot of other stuff, but strength. All right, so that's this week's, so I can't show you guys that one yet. And that's last week's. So IBM. That's the one I was looking for because I'm still in IBM, right? So IBM, we alerted right here on that candle. So I bought IBM as it broke that candle's high. My stop on IBM was right under these two candles low, right? So that's, again, it's going to vary based off your hold time. It's going to vary based off how you see charts. But my theory was that if we got and closed below these two candles, there was two bottoming tails there, 20-day moving average, and that's under where we broke out of. So I'm going to stop myself there. Now I'm still in this, and my plan is just to use the 8 EMA as a guide for exit. So if IBM kind of continues to move or chop sideways and then moves, that's fine. I will continue to remain in it. And, if we take another pop up, I'll probably sell some. So that's going to be different on each one. When it comes to, say, HRB, the guys in the service will tell you, I basically took HRB on Friday. I didn't take any trade on this one until Friday, and I probably could have done better if I did. But what did it look like when we sent it out? That was the last one on the list. Yeah, so that one was right here. So I would have done better if I just bought it on Monday and then held it. But I wanted to see what would happen at this highs. We chopped around for 2 days, and then I picked some up, and then I've got my stop right up here. So this is kind of like more of a swing scalp. So if you're a brand new trader and you just want an algorithm to follow, I would follow the TI Strength Alert algo because I am confident in the testing that I've done to know that over the long run that algorithm produces results. But there's one thing just to look at this chart, and most people they draw their eyes over here and they say, "Wow, that's over 200% since 2019." But if you look at this beginning bit, like if you take this block right here, that's almost a year of sideways chop for your P&L. A good trader, I bet you could have made money during that year, just because they would have had a plan around every trade, had a time to get more out of their winners and a time to figure out how to get out of the losers quicker and things like that. And there's probably people who throughout this one would have lost money trading the algorithm if they had done it the opposite. So again, an algorithm, just like an indicator, just like a chart pattern, just like a correlation, just like anything, is one piece of a puzzle. And then you have to build on that puzzle until you have something that makes sense to you. So for me, what I do is I start with an algorithm. An algorithm will show me what it is that I need to look at. Everything that you're seeing here are from different algorithms, right? And I'm going through those and I'm saying, of the ones that the system's saying, hey, look at these ones, then it's when it's time to use my eye and my trading experience and risk management and things like that to try to get the most out of that algorithm, right? I hope that makes sense. And it's because, again, if there was something that a robot that just made money every day, you didn't have to think about it, you wouldn't see it. Comes back to the guy, another story. Story time with Michael. I need graphics and everything. I read this in one of the Market Wizards books that the guy who invented the Black-Scholes model. First of all, Mark, yeah, this is recorded, so it will be uploaded when we're done. You can also go back if you don't care about watching it live. You can click on the scroll bar, and you can go rewind it to the beginning. But it will be up as soon as we're done here, which will be done in about 5 minutes. Then it's just however long YouTube takes to tick about. But yeah, the guy who invented the Black-Scholes model was not Black and Scholes. He was another guy who was a trader, and he started his career by beating the roulette wheel. He came up with like a really rudimentary computer that he could like tap on his foot and he could hit a button or something like that, and he could guess the roulette wheel with just enough of an edge that if he played long enough, he would make money. And he made a bunch of money, and then just like they do in Vegas, anyone who makes money is they took him outside and beat the ever-loving shit out of him and told him he's not allowed back. So he said, okay, well, I need to figure out a way to hack a market that they can't beat the crap out of me. So he created the Black-Scholes model, and it was a way to price options in a better way than most other places could price options. And instead of telling anybody about it, he sat there and he just made money hand over fist until one day, University, Black and Scholes came. They invented the same model around the same time, and they launched it out. And again, the difference being that it was profitable for him until it wasn't, and he's not going to share that while he's making a bunch of money off it. And it's the same with any other algorithm or indicator or whatever. If you're looking for something to just not do anything and make you a bunch of money in the market, I don't think that's it. And it's the same as the Stats Edge Pro product, right? Is that I don't want you just to that's why I make it very clear on sign up that it's not a signal service, and it will never be a signal service, and I'll never sell a signal service, because what I would want, if what I would, the perfect world is somebody takes that work and that resource, and that's what you're paying for, is you're paying my time and my work and my effort and my research, and I want them to take that and I want them to apply their own methodology that they're working on in their time and their effort and their resource to that to come up with a hybrid, right? Should we use a certain dollar per stock, or buy a number of shares, or use a smart stop? Again, it's going to be entirely, the algorithm was run, which is an equal split. Again, just because I had to, it took me about 6 months basically of work to build TI strength alerts. Not 6 months of 8-hour days, but throughout 6 months, I had to build it. So that's the simplicity of running the model. I've done that. And also for regulatory reasons, we can't include stops and targets and stuff like that. It just becomes a whole different thing when we're suggesting people how to use them. So that's how an equal split of money was used. So basically, we said you have like a $10,000 account, you'd put 2,000 in each one. Again, I wouldn't do it that way in practice. I would want to buy more of the less volatile ones and buy less of the more volatile ones. So I would, like I do with everything, is look at, here's my entry, here's my stop. I want to risk 1% of the value of my account on every trade. So say you have a $100,000 account, you risk $1,000 on a trade. You look at where your entry is, you look at where your stop loss is, you calculate the numbers so that you get that end result, right? Again, that's just how I would do it. So again, I would take each one on their own merit, right? IBM, I entered in through here and my stop was right here, right? So then I'm going to say, here's my entry, there's my stop. I'm going to risk that $500,000, whatever. A 0.5% to 1% is my rule of the size of my account. That's what I'm risking any given trade, right? If that happens, then great. And then if this happens, I know what my risk was, type of thing. So for the video, which I'm going to do now and upload, it's going to be Posh, and I'm going to do a little bit more of a detailed explanation in the service, but just I'm going to put Posh on 27% short float. I really like the pullback. I did want to look at Brett. I did want to look at that AXON. It looks nice. Just again, I always look at this. It's a bit overdone for me personally. This would have been the place that I would have been super interested in it. Maybe you bounce off 160 and you back and fill for a bit and then you go. Then I'd be interested in it. It's a good looking stock, and you have a news catalyst, which is great. Right? So that's fine. I just don't look at fundamental news, right? For me, it's all patterns and algorithms, that kind of stuff. Again, not saying that there's nothing wrong with getting a news catalyst, especially if you're using the chart to dictate entry. That's the only time I really get worried, is when someone says, here's my news catalyst, therefore I'm going to buy the stock, right? And again, I'm not saying it looks bad. It's just, for me, something that's gone from 120 to 160 pretty much in a straight line is just too far, too fast. I would want to see a break before participating. But sometimes you never get that break, right? So you have to weigh that. Because right now I look at it and I say, okay, well, 160, the first time I could logically put a stop for me is a little under 140. So I'm risking 20 bucks a share, let's say. So then what are the odds I can make 40 bucks a share, which would get us up to 200? Could happen. It would have to be a really extended move to move that way in a straight line. We can move from there. And that's, so MindMed. I've been kind of pounding the table on this one for a bit. I am a shareholder from a long way back. It's a Canadian company. It's one of those rare times that I like the story on, and I will do the same thing where actually it's always better to look at MindMed in TrendSpider, because they combine the what happened before it got moved to the NASDAQ, where Trade Ideas doesn't. But right, so the same kind of thing. I wouldn't hear the MindMed story and buy here, but I bought some around here on this move. I bought some around here on this move. I bought some around here on this move, and then I bought some right there again on that move. So there's nothing wrong with using a fundamental story and combining it with charts. I just personally, I can't. And this is just a difference between traders, right? Barry, who runs a Trade Ideas trading room, I have tons of respect for, and I think he's a really good trader. Everything he buys on an intraday basis to me looks like, oh, it's overextended, but it works for him. So to each your own, right? The only time I will say what you're doing is wrong is if it's dangerous. So it's like my plan is to, I saw this guy online. I don't want to say his name, but he had a pretty big channel and he did these videos of him trading live. And his plan was just to buy something as it was coming down and then buy more and buy. And like the guy was trying to make $50 and I saw like negative 500 in his account on some trades. Like he would just keep buying on the dips and then trying to sell it out to make his $50 gain or something. And it was terrifying. But as long as you're not doing that and you have a stop loss on every trade, Billy Roots, have at it. Lastly, I guess I'll do this. We're enough that people let's just go and we'll pop over here and we'll close that and then we're gonna bring that. So if you guys are interested, again, the best way to describe the product is it's what you've just seen but done every day, and you don't need to listen to me for an hour. And it's just right here. $49.99 US a month. You get access to my scans, which I have for Trade Ideas and TrendSpider. I'm going to constantly just be building this out as I kind of develop new ones. You have this, which let me just show you a sample of what I sent on June 11th, where you have my thoughts on the crypto markets with annotations, then my thought on the equity markets, all annotated up, and then a handful of stocks that I'm interested in the next day, and why and where and what I'm thinking, and then just kind of an overall blurb of my thoughts. If there's something that's interesting that I'm going to feel the need to turn on the camera, I'll turn on the camera, I'll do a short video, and I will attach that. This watch list starting next week will actually attach to a Google Doc where I'll be adding and removing things as I find them interesting. And lastly, but this isn't really a major part of it, we've got a little Discord room. So you can come in. Again, I won't be on the mic. I won't be showing screens all the time. If something happens that I think I want to just turn on the mic and say, hey guys, what's up? I'll do that. But mainly this is just so that if I see a chart, I can quickly annotate it and then throw it over to you, and you can see kind of in real time what's going on there. And again, that's for $2 a day. So if that's worth $2 a day for you, great. If it's not, none of the content that I'm doing now will get locked behind a paywall because of this. I've decided that for sure. I have a broken link here. I guess I need to fix. I'm just noticing that now. And then again, if you've just found me and you want to just learn more for free, this will always be a free. This website takes forever to load. I have to do something about this. 39 lesson course that me and my wife did, an intro to trading. That's on the website, and that is free as well. KMPH. That rings a bell. Just look at so many stocks. I can't. Holy. Yeah. No, now, knowing me, and correct me if I'm wrong, Void, but I probably liked it over 10. Full disclosure, I didn't do anything with it, but or did you say? I meant, oh, okay, you mentioned a few weeks ago KMPH. Yeah, over 10. That was a great trade, man. That's why it rings a bell. I was about to say I don't know if I would have liked all of the chop that was going on here. But yeah, no, I should have listened to you looking back, right? That was a good one. Yeah, it's really good. That's what, like a 50% gain in 10 days. Good job. Why don't I do suggested entry and exits for my product? Because it is not a signal service and it will never be. The point of it is that you look at my research and figure out how to do it yourself. I highly disagree with following people based off their trades, just to do it based off their trades. It will never work. There'll be times where I am horrible. There are months where my trading just doesn't work, and that's just the way it works, right? It's the whole give a man a fish, teach a man a fish type of thing, right? I want to teach you guys to fish. Again, what I would consider a success is someone comes and buys my product for a couple months and then emails me and says, "Hey man, really liked what you did. I learned a lot. I have my own system and process now, and I want to go from there." Plus, there's regulatory crap that I don't want to get into because I'm not a financial advisor and I don't want to tell you to pay how to trade. And it's why on the bottom of every page there's this, right? So again, this is the page. This is a 39 lesson course, all video lessons that you can come here at any given time, and it's free. And again, with the main course, I make it very clear it's not a signal service. If that's what you're looking for, right? This is not an alert service. It's just not for you. But the other one is again, if you want to come check it out, come check it out. For sure. We're still figuring things out, so we'll go and take a look at them. WBA. It looks nice. Will I include my trading plan with Stats Edge Pro? No, I think a trading plan is something you got to build yourself. I may start to add in courses and things like that as things go further. But I have how to build a trading plan in the free course at the end, so I would check that out. Again, another thing I didn't mention, what we will be doing is monthly, there'll be a Q&A session where it's going to be, right, bring your own beer. One day after the market close, it'll be a Zoom thing for just members. And you can come in, you can ask any question you want, and we'll just shoot the shit and I'll answer anything you need. So that will be a good way to just get a little bit more kind of one-on-one attention with me. WBA I like. This one's not quite extended yet. It's got this downtrend that it just broke out, and Friday was the first close. So WBA I would watch over Friday's close right here. And if it spends any time, if it gets back into this range, you know where you're out, just right down there. And then, right, hopefully a push up from there. But I like the look of that. Just a nice, simple bear flag. You're saying look at the weekly. Yeah, that one's interesting as well. Again, just a nice, right, strong push up and then a chop sideways is your kind of very typical bear flag looking pattern. The beauty of bear flags is they're right slightly more often, or bull flags, sorry, right more often than they're wrong. If the beauty of it is you know exactly where you're wrong, right? If we come back down and we hang out in this range, you're probably wrong. If we come back down and we get to the low end of this range, you definitely know when you're wrong. And trading is all about knowing when you're wrong and, you know, making more when you're right, having an exit, right? Again, I'm one that I believe that no one's better than 60% win rate ever, right? I have times where I'm a little better than 60%, and I have times that are way worse than 60%. But it's that risk management that over the long run it keeps me in the black and not the red. Any chance that you'll create your own AI trading strategy session? Well, again, the part of Stats Edge Pro, there'll be once a month Q&A, and that will be literally, I will be sitting here on Zoom with the members, anyone who wants to come, with a beer, and we're going to hang out for 2 hours. If there's enough questions to fill 2 hours, and you guys can, it's like an ask me anything kind of a thing, right? However, again, it's a swing trading based product because I am more than anything a swing trading based guy. So, Anyway, I'm going to take off. I'm going to do the short video and upload that. And then the members in Discord, I'll ping you guys on Sunday when I'm done doing that. I'm probably going to do it Sunday evening. I may even wait for the futures to open just to see if there's any commentary I should add there. But there's people over and it's a beautiful day. So I want to get outside. You guys should do the same. Turn off the charts. Get going, right? Do something, exercise, get away from the screen. You got 2 days before you have to worry about trading, right? So again, thank you everyone for coming out. And if you're interested at all in checking out the product, it's statsedgetrading.com. And if not, I will see you guys next weekend.